Hey there, welcome to the channel. This is Bronx Brothers Motorcycles and my name is Richie. Well, on today's video, we're going to talk about what is the best time of year to travel. Well, I'll tell you this, in my opinion, it's right now, fall. There are many reasons why I feel that this is the best time of year to travel. Now, it's not to say that summer isn't a great time, but fall, early fall that is, has many benefits, and I'm going to tell you exactly what those are. Well, right off the bat, I'll tell you that congestion, heat, and prices are three of the main factors. Have you ever heard of anybody going to a national park between, let's say, late June through August? National parks are packed with people trying to get in. Now, I've seen plenty of videos where people are in a line trying to get into the state park for over an hour. On a motorcycle, you are right there in the elements. On the East Coast, you can be in upper 80s to upper 90 degree temperatures. Then there's facilities such as where you're going to eat, bathrooms. If you want to take a picture of a nice spot, you usually have to wait because there's so many people trying to get that picture just like you are. Now let's focus on the positive. So I can tell you, Washington DC is not very far from me here, nor is the Blue Ridge Parkway. Well, the Blue Ridge Parkway is currently closed indefinitely, so that's a bad example. I don't know if you guys heard, but Hurricane Helene did some damage to a section of the Blue Ridge Parkway and they have closed it down. There's no date when they're going to be reopening it up. So with that being said, there's still many roads through Appalachia, the Blue Ridge Mountains, that can be ridden this time of year. They're fantastic. I usually take 3 or 4 day trip by myself because nobody else can go. They're either working or have too much on their schedule, and I usually have a little escape where I go by myself and I get to ride all of those fabulous roads by myself. Now, I've been there in the summertime and you usually see a lot of bikes. Everywhere you go there's motorcycles. Now, this time of year, you're lucky if you see 1 or 2. Everywhere I've been, places are, I'm not going to say deserted, but there's not a whole lot of people. The other cool part about that is that you get to talk to the locals because, again, there's not that many people. When I stop at a gas station, people are not so much in a rush to get rid of you. If you're like me, I talk to a tree. I'm the kind of guy, I talk to everybody. Doesn't matter to me. I like people, and I like knowing how they live and what they do. When I have gone this time of year, it's a different experience. I feel it's a little bit more personal. Washington, D.C. School trips are not yet started. Everybody's back to work. There's not a whole lot of people visiting our country this time of year. Washington, D.C., the capital area right there, the National Mall, is not that congested. Now, again, I've been this time of year, and it's pretty nice to walk around. The Smithsonian museums, not that busy. You can pretty much go into anywhere you want and it's not going to be as congested. And with that being said, parking is also a lot easier at all of these places I've mentioned. Now, I'm mentioning these areas because they're in my neighborhood, if you will. You have to see what's in your area, what places are of interest to you, and most likely it's going to be the perfect time of year to go. Now, it's very important for you to make best use of daylight to start out earlier. In the summertime, we usually get on the road around 9. I would say by 8 you want to be on the road. So like this, you have at least 10 hours of riding time in daylight. Another bonus of going this time of year, as you all know, demand brings up prices. So hotels don't have as many guests. So prices are more likely to go down this time of year. Another perk with hotels is, and this happens to me when I go to the Blue Ridge Mountains area, sometimes I like to stay at inns rather than hotels or bed and breakfasts. In the summertime, those places are booked solid. This time of year, it's more likely that you can get a room in a place like that. Imagine staying at an inn that was built in the early 1800s, and they have all the furnishings and everything. The grounds are immaculate. These places are magnificent. I just love staying at places like that have a history rather than at a regular hotel. It makes life more interesting for me. If you have an air-cooled motorcycle, of which I have a few, I have a few Harley Davidsons, and I have a BMW oil head. This time of year, these bikes love it. If you get stuck in any kind of traffic, be it city or highway, the motorcycle is not going to get as hot. You're not going to get as hot. And I feel that the motorcycles for sure ride a lot better in cooler temperatures. I have visited the desert, but I have never lived there for any length of time. I have family that lives in the desert, actually. Now, I can't imagine touring in the summertime when temperatures are 110 or hotter. So I imagine for those of you that live in the desert, this is probably one of the best times of year for you. I have been in the desert in the wintertime and it can get cold. So I imagine it's either fall or spring that is the ideal temperature for people in the desert. So I'm curious to know where you all like to travel. What are your favorite places? What are your favorite getaways? Do me a favor, write them down in the comments. Maybe I'll choose one of those places as my next getaway. One of our favorite things to do is visit museums. I like visiting cities. I have a cousin who doesn't really like riding through cities, but I enjoy it. Maybe because I grew up in a city, learned to ride in a city. It really doesn't bother me. But I feel that a city has a lot to offer. They have food, they have different sections, be it cultural or ethnic. Like I said before, I really enjoy people. I like talking to different people, learning about their backgrounds, what they do, about their families. And I feel that in a city, you can get a lot of that in abundance. So, what are my favorite cities? Last summer we went to Pittsburgh. I've never been to Pittsburgh. I really enjoyed it. We actually went up to this place called Mount Washington. You can see the whole city up there and the three rivers where they meet. You can see the skyline. It was just beautiful. What's another favorite city of mine? New Orleans. We went to New Orleans about 10 years ago. That was an epic trip. And I tell you what, we really enjoyed the food more than anything. Now, I will be honest, the French Quarter, I'm not a drinking kind of guy, so I didn't enjoy that as much as going to different restaurants and visiting different parts of the city. That was pretty cool. Now, I had been there before, but that was so long ago. Now, I will say, and this is important, here's a good tip. If you know anyone that's been to any area before you visit it, be sure and ask for recommendations. For example, last year when we went to Pittsburgh, we were on our way back from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Chicago, basically the Midwest. We went through Ohio, had been through Cleveland and all those areas. My wife's cousins live in Pittsburgh, so I texted my daughters and I says, hey, can you get in contact with the girls in Pittsburgh and tell them to recommend a good place for us to visit. That's how we found out about Mount Washington. And they told us about a specific restaurant that was on top of a hill, and the deck was actually on some tall stilts where you can see the city. It was the best place to have lunch. So I'm really glad that I made the choice of contacting the girls and they gave us that recommendation. Another tip I'll give you is, wherever you go, make sure that you find out what is the local cuisine. For example, when we went to New Orleans, we were sure to eat some Cajun Creole food. Each year when we go to Florida, we eat Cuban. New York, pizza, hot dogs. Philadelphia, Philly cheesesteaks. Virginia is known for she crab soup as well as blue crabs. Now here's an interesting state, New Jersey, right in the middle of Philadelphia and New York City. New Jersey is known for pizza, as well as it has good cheesesteaks on the south side of Jersey. That's called South Jersey, actually. Then there's pretzels. But I think one of the biggest things it's known for is good Italian food, Chinese food, and if you're in Newark, New Jersey, be sure and get some Portuguese food or Spanish food from Spain. One of the things we found out when we went to California just a few years ago was the street vendors that sell fruit. I had no idea that would be so delicious. They add some Mexican spices to it, and that was excellent. I tell you what, I'm hooked. Now, California is also known for their street tacos and many other foods. But I would say that fruit was something that I had never tried, and that left an impression on me. Now, I can keep going on and on because every area, every region has their own food. My point to you is make sure that you find out what that food is and make sure that you try it. Now, the other thing is try to find the best place for that food, because just because, and I'll give you an example, New York sells pizza doesn't mean that you can't get bad pizza here or there. So be sure and look it up online, ask people, where's the best place for that? As an example, we went to Maine and we had a lobster roll, but we went to the premier place for that lobster roll, which was at the Lobster Shack at Cape Elizabeth. Now, we went online and we found out that that was the highest rated lobster roll in Maine. That's what we chose. And I'll tell you what, it did not disappoint. Now, fall can be like spring. It can be warm in the daytime and cool and maybe even cold at night. So make sure that you're taking proper gear. This time of year, you have to take gear that covers both hot and cold, because you never know what Mother Nature is going to throw at you. Don't forget the saying, people don't plan to fail, people fail to plan. So, figure out where you want to go, figure out what gear you need to take, make sure your bike is in good running order, look up some hotels, but better than that, look up some bed and breakfasts, some inns. Make reservations if you can. Check out what foods are in that local area. Look for museums and tourist attractions. Then put that all on a list. Have a big list and then pick from that list what you want to do. At least you have everything in front of you. The other thing is take back roads. Try to stay off the highways. That's where you're going to meet the real people. It's a lot better to ride through local roads as long as they're not congested than it is highways. Make sure you take some basic tools. And another tip, make sure you tell somebody where you're going. If you live by yourself, don't just leave. I'm sure you have some loved ones. Let them know where you're going. Give them an idea what routes you'll be taking. And like that, everybody will be at ease. One never knows what might happen on the road. Then you have your loved ones looking for you all over the country. I guess you can tell by the videos I've been putting up that I've been doing this for a while. I've been touring for about 18 years now. and I've done it in all seasons. I will say the majority of it has been in late winter, which we go to Florida and we tour the whole state, and summertime. We also do the summertime where we go cross country wherever we have planned to go. I will say on our cross country trips, we're usually looking for a hotel just a few hours before we arrive. In other words, if it's 6 o'clock in the evening is when we start looking for a hotel, and then we start headed in that direction. It's not always convenient to plan the hotel, let's say early in the morning, because we don't know how far ahead we will be, or if something happens, how far back we may be. So we just take it as it comes. The benefit is that we're free to spend the night wherever we may be. The downside of it is we've gotten some bad hotels because it was last minute, if you will, where the next town was probably 2 hours away, and this is the town where we had to stay at. So we've had that experience more than a few times, and that can be the downside of it for sure. So now it's your turn. Did I forget anything? What did I leave out? And don't forget, I'd really like to know, what is your favorite places? What are your favorite getaways? What are your favorite places to go to? I'm always looking for a good place to escape to, and so is the crew. So I'd really like to hear your ideas. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the different videos that I put up of the different places that we've been to. If you're new here, be sure and go to my channel and look at the different playlists of all the different places that we've been to. Also, I have a lot of tutorial videos, build videos. I have a bunch of videos, period. So check them out, go through them all, see the different bikes I have, see the different places we've been to, get to meet the crew. I'll leave you with this. This channel is fast growing, so be sure and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the great videos that the people have woken up to of the content that I put out. I post weekly videos of rides, different motorcycles, gear, product reviews, everything and anything to do with motorcycles. And like I said, I have more than one motorcycle. I actually have 8 motorcycles in my garage, for those of you that don't know. So I have plenty of content that I think you'll like. So with that, I'm gonna leave you. You all take care. Watch out with the crazy people on the roads, and I will catch you on the next one. Adios.